And welcome back to Just Another Review. Man, it has been a while, hasn't it? We started doing gaming content and we're slowly incorporating TV show and movie stuff back into the fold. And so, because of that, Isla wants us to watch her favorite Disney movie, so we're watching Tarzan. And we start the movie with a burning ship and two parents and a baby trying to get away from the ship. But we don't care about anything that's going on visually in this scene. Do you not hear Phil Collins just laying down the sick jam straight from the get-go? You have to put your faith in what you most believe. And for me and this movie, it's Phil Collins.
Actually, this is a very well-animated movie, considering it was made in the 90s. Yuck. Galumba. As good as it looks, you can still tell that some parts are off. The gorilla on the top left is clearly supposed to be laying on a branch, but when you look at the bottom of him, he's clearly laying on what looks like it's supposed to be a flat floor. Like, you can see a straight line across there. These gorillas were clearly added in afterwards.
And can I just say, baby Tarzan is one of the cutest babies in the whole Disney franchise. That could just be my bias, though, since this is one of my favorite Disney movies.
And luckily for now, he gets to spend his time with his family as they're waiting to be rescued from this sweet, wonderful jungle paradise.
But during that time, they were surviving on the jungle paradise, putting all that effort into building a tree house. They could have just built a boat. If you can build a tree house, I guarantee you can build a boat. If not a boat, you can build a house. And it's not like they only had the construction skills to make like a little shack. No, they went and built a whole tree mansion. That means this dude has to be some type of trained carpenter. There is no way he doesn't know how to build a boat.
And after the main gorilla parent loses her child, tragic, obviously, but that's the jungle, baby. We see her approach the tree mansion and kidnap a crying baby because, again, it's the jungle and it's a sad gorilla. And even if its parents still were alive, I think at this point, what are they going to do? Stop a gorilla? Anyway, Tarzan gets raised by that gorilla. But before she can raise the child, there's a leopard in the rafters just waiting, looming, letting them bond, come together as one, have feelings for each other so he could pounce at the moment they have that initial spark of connection, to sever it, to take everything from them and savor it, increase the feelings of loss that they will take. That is what this leopard is seeking more than anything, just to have him get punched by a bigger gorilla. But they let the leopard leave, and that's not going to come back and bite them in the ass. We don't have to worry about that at all. They make it to safety, and then they raise Tarzan to be their own kid, and that's just okay.
And that leads me to the question, how did they feed this baby? Humans can't drink gorilla milk, and even if they could, I don't want to imagine a baby latching onto a gorilla's nipple. So, how did they feed this child? Did they just punch a bunch of bananas down into a paste and force feed it into this child's mouth? And even if Tarzan can drink the gorilla's milk, human's milk is very different from gorilla's milk, and Tarzan would have ended up dying from malnutrition. So I have no idea how he made it to a healthy adulthood.
And we see the gorilla mom start singing the song, which is the song for the montage that leads Tarzan into adulthood. And the second she starts singing, it makes me super, super upset because there are two lines of the song that are not sung by Phil Collins, and we need to get that out of here. Later on, there's a whole song that has zero Phil Collins, and it's the worst song in this whole movie. The absolute worst song. I will talk about it when we get there, but right now we're watching Tarzan grow up into a child, the worst form of human. And immediately after becoming a child, we get to meet extremely annoying side character, Turk. I wish that we didn't have Turk in this movie. Turk is the most annoying gorilla, and she doesn't follow the gorilla scheme. All the male gorillas are darker gray, and all the female gorillas are brown. Why is Turk, a female gorilla, light gray instead of light brown? If you're gonna have a rule, a narrative rule, you have to follow it. You have to follow the rules. Speaking of annoying sidekicks, Tarzan wants to fit in with them for some reason, so they give him some stupid, impossible task of getting an elephant hair and not dying. So he jumps off a cliff and hits water, which should have the density of concrete at that height. And there's a few things, like right off the bat, that I want to make very clear. He hit that water, that kid is dead. 2, even if he survived that, he landed on top of a hippo, the most violent animal in that forest by far. And 3, if a human landed on the bouncing underwater hippo, it would have just eaten him in one bite. Hippos are dangerous. They look cute, but don't approach them in the wild. They will chase your boat down and take all of you down with it. And again, in a matter of about a minute, we find out a few more things. In the water, Tarzan can easily be mistaken as a piranha. 2, there's only one smart elephant, and he's scared of everything. And 3, elephant stampedes are terrifying. And 4, Tarzan is willing to die for peer pressure, and that's just a mood. Isn't it funny that they were going to let Tarzan die, but then when there's one lone baby gorilla in the elephant stampede, that's when Kershak jumps in and saves them? That's really messed up, man. And what's more messed up is proceeding to bully him. Just absolutely bully him for causing a stampede when it was Turk's fault in the first place. But no, we got to blame the hairless monkey.
Yeah, but it's understandable, though, because, you got this hairless thing that your wife adopted. And you're like, fine, you can keep it. And it just spooked the elephants that damn near killed everyone, destroyed your food source, and actively had to dive into an elephant stampede to save one of your own herd.
And then we have a deep emotional speech about how gorillas and man are just the same. And they show each other their heartbeats, and it's really nice and adorable. And every part of me wanted this scene to go a different way. Here's my picture, they're sharing each other's heartbeat. The female mother gorilla asks, "Can you feel my heartbeat?" And Tarzan just goes, "No." And then the female mother gorilla has a heart attack and dies. Oh, I could feel the irony. I feel like Sabor just waiting for the peak moment of truest suffering. And we finally get to the montage where Tarzan becomes an adult, where we get to hear Phil Collins sing "Son of Man," and man, that's awesome. I don't give a crap about anything else that happens throughout the rest of this montage. Yeah, he's learning tools and chilling with his cousin, but none of that matters. There's Phil Collins singing. Listen to Phil. I wish I got to grow up at an accelerated rate listening to Phil Collins. A lot of my problems in my life would have just disappeared if I just got to fast forward through my entire childhood. But instead, I'm just going to listen to Phil.
And all I'm wondering is, when he grows up, does that posture hurt his back in some weird, messed up way? I've worked desk jobs. Posture is some of the most important things that you can do in your day-to-day life. And if you arc your back like the letter C constantly, you're going to be in so much pain. Does the pain just feel normal to him at this point? Is crippling bonitis just his standard? Because if that's the case, I can relate to that. I have popping joints, and I have crippling bonitis, and everything is fine in my world.
Son of man, look to the sky. Lift your spirit, set it free. Someday you'll walk tall with pride. Son of man, the man in time you'll be. All right. I felt the spirit of Phil come over me there. But we now get to see Tarzan, Turk, and Tantor kind of grow up and still be friends, and that's nice. But then I immediately noticed that Tantor is voiced by the actor who plays Newman in Seinfeld, and that's awesome. I love seeing Wayne Knight getting as much work as he possibly can. He's a very talented man who's known for one role very, very well. You'll see when we watch Jurassic Park, because he's pretty awesome in that too. And while they're all bonding, having a good time, having emotional growth with friends, who's lurking in the shadows? Who's waiting for the peak opportunity to cause the most sadness? Who else but Sabor, who comes out and attacks the gorilla, and Kershak has to defend all 27 gorillas that could easily rip apart this jaguar. But no, they all just want to sit in the trees and watch a gorilla die.
I would also like to point out that Tarzan only jumped in to save Kerchak because Kerchak was going to die. And he's like his father figure. So there's that attachment there. But by doing that, he has sort of shunned the alpha gorilla from being the alpha and has taken charge of the troop of gorillas. And that obviously makes Kerchak so unbelievably upset. And on top of all of that, Kerchak has always hated Tarzan, and this just adds fuel to the fire that is Kerchak's hatred. Also, after they take down Sabor, where did that leopard body go? Seriously, though, it was just there like 3 seconds ago. Where is it now? Please answer me. 1999 animators of Disney's Tarzan, answer this important question for us. A small YouTube channel. We demand answers. Give us the answers.
And we get introduced to the actual main bad guy of the movie, Clayton the Colonizer, who thinks that he deserves everything that this nation has to offer him with the most British energy I could ever muster. This adventuring party is everything that's wrong with the 1800s, 1700s, 1600s Britain. You have one guy who thinks that everything should belong to him. You have another guy who's too clueless to see the war crimes that he's committed with his friend with a gun, and he just wants to be nice and collect all the pretty artifacts to take over to the museum, and nobody cares about the culture behind those artifacts. And then you have a lady who's there who funded the whole thing, who's too stupid to see the pain and suffering that she's causing, even though she's like, I'm a woman of these people, I'm here to help these poor savages. They're not savages at all, you piece. All 3 of these people are absolutely awful. But besides that fact, all 3 of these people are just awful. Well, we see Jane drawing a picture of a monkey. The monkey steals the picture. She gets the picture back because that's her picture. How dare you take anything from somebody so proper? And she's encountered by the wild ape man Tarzan as he saves her from a pack of way too many baboons. I just guess somebody at Walt Disney Studios just really liked drawing baboons because there's so many baboons. Just too many baboons. And after escaping the baboons, because all they wanted was the picture, they just went through so many trees, like a crazy amount of trees just for this one picture, just to have an awkward scene where Tarzan is touching parts of Jane's body without consent, which makes this movie problematic. But that's besides the point. We start to see them be able to communicate.
So I'm just curious as to how high Tarzan's IQ is for him to be able to learn how to speak English this exponentially fast. That's just insane to me.
But we're going to ignore how smart Tarzan is, because the elephant in the room is the fact that when all the wildlife get to the camp, they're looking at all the things, and Tantor is just scared of everything, including the grandfather clock, because only time is the thing that's truly terrifying in this world. Time will take us all, and it will take everything you care about, everything you love, and eventually the planet itself, and then the stars, everything that anybody's ever loved, cared about, all the information in the universe we will lose to the power that is Father Time. And Tantor is the only being smart enough to realize that time is the thing they all should be scared of. Also, we get to that song that I was talking about earlier that nobody cares about. You know, there's so many Phil Collins songs in this movie that have meaning, that have soul. They come from the heart, and they're also plot relevant, and each one of them has a purpose. But this scene has no purpose besides the voice actors wanted to do some scat practice in the recording booth, and it's awful. But do you know how you can improve it?
Is it add Phil Collins?
Damn right it's add Phil Collins. Phil Collins would have just improved this scene so much. It would have made it 19 times better. It just would have been fantastic.
I love Phil Collins more than the next guy, but as I was growing up, I always thought this camp song they created was a bop.
You don't love Phil Collins as much as the next guy if the next guy is Isaiah.
And we see that Jane encounters all the gorillas. Sassy gorilla, happy gorilla, elephant gorilla, angry gorilla. And all I can think is, man, it's so convenient that Clayton didn't show up 15 seconds earlier. Because he really loves shooting that shotgun. And he would have killed so many gorillas. Because remember, when you shoot your double barrel shotgun, you can shoot 4 shots.
And I just realized something. The 3 of them are the ways the English deal with new lands. You f*** it, you fight it, and you steal their stuff.
And it's immediately proven when Tarzan shows up at the camp and the professor's like, oh, he's real. I can learn so much from him. And Jane just gives him those eyes like, yes, finally, a real man. And Clayton immediately grabs his gun and tries to kill it. I also want to point out something that's very, very important here, and it's the fact that Tarzan has his back arched his whole life. Like, the amount of pain that would come from just suddenly having your back go straight. I think it would be enough to drop Tarzan just for a little bit. You know, it'd be like the sounds of those 4th of July poppets if you threw like 50 of them at the ground. The pain would just be so intense.
And how did Tarzan not develop scoliosis or at the very least a hunchback? He's had his back arched his whole life. Why is he not now like Quasimodo?
And now we reach the part where the British teach the savages. Because, you know, savages need to learn how to be prim and proper and not have their own culture in any way. They need to become like good British servants. This land will become a penal colony whether you like it or not. So you better learn how to stand in line like a good subject. Or we will have Clayton take you out back with a shotgun and put you down like a lame horse.
You bought a horse?
But at least his re-education program is soundtracked by Phil Collins, baby! Hell yeah! We're back with the best song in this movie, Strangers Like Me by Phil Collins. Put it in your Spotify playlist. This is the bop of the movie.
And you know what? As a Phil Collins lover growing up, this is definitely on my Spotify playlist.
I have a question. If you're going on an expedition, I can understand all that research equipment. But why bring the bike? Why bring the movie projector? Or anything like that? What was the research? Themselves? Oh yeah, look, the planet's on a slide, because we don't already know what those look like. We've seen all these slides. It's just so convenient for savages that we happen to come across in any random jungle on an uninhabited island. I need answers, Disney animators. Tell me why they had a packaged re-education program just sitting at their base camp. This is important questions for my 57 subscribers need to know.
I want to know! Can you show me? I want to know about these strangers like me. Tell me more. Please show me something familiar about these strangers like me. And we get to the scene where they're asking Tarzan if you could show us the gorillas. And he's like, no. Where they're like, well, too bad because we're leaving because the boats are here. Do you want to come with us? And he's having that moral dilemma that we all know. That Tarzan wants to leave the island because he wants to be with Jane, but he also wants to stay with the gorillas. But all they're going to do is like treat him like some circus freak show in chains. They're going to be like, look at the wild monkey man. And then he's going to die of smallpox. And as they're leaving, Clayton convinces Tarzan that the only way to get Jane to stay is if he shows them the gorilla. Which honestly, Clayton, yeah, that's probably the only way Jane would stay longer. But also, Clayton, you know you really just want to shoot a gorilla. And they've explicitly told you at this point in the movie that you cannot shoot a gorilla. But you know that's the only reason he came here was because there were gorillas and they're a wild animal that he has not shot. But they encounter the gorillas and Tarzan is able to convince all the gorillas that everything is safe and they have this nice wholesome moment. And it's just ruined by Clayton as he's plotting his location to take all of these gorillas. And immediately, on an instinctual level, you knew he was dangerous. As you see, they knock the gun out of his hand, and one of the gorillas thinks about shooting Clayton, had the gun pointed at Clayton, and all he had to do was just shake it a little hard, and he probably would have fired 2 shots out of that infinite shotgun. And the last third of the movie would just be them beating a corpse. Just a bunch of gorillas punching Clayton's corpse. Probably would have been better for them. But Kershak comes back and threatens the other humans, and Tarzan has to take down a fully grown gorilla with his bare hands. Because not only is he the smartest man alive, he's also got that super strength. Tarzan's an X-Men character with multiple mutant powers. And that's who's going to be in the next Marvel film, is going to be Tarzan. Tarzan the mutant. And he finds his way back home, finds his house with his real parents. And this is the first time that we see how stupid Tarzan actually is.
Because this is the exact moment where he realizes he's adopted and he's actually wasn't a gorilla. This moment, when he's met other humans, this exact moment is when he realizes he's not a gorilla.
Tarzan just assumed he was like an X-Men gorilla, just a mutated gorilla man.
And Tarzan decides to leave the gorilla people, and they're talking about meeting everyone else in the world. Everyone's going to want to see Tarzan. He's going to be a celebrity. He's going to meet Queen Victoria. He's going to meet Darwin. But they had a picture of a car, and an automobile was made in 1886, and Darwin died in 1880, and he's going to meet Darwin? That doesn't make any sense. They're just going to put him down. They're going to put him in a dark cage. They're going to parade him around, and then they're going to put him down. We need someone to go back in time, invent time travel, stop P.T. Barnum, then stop these people from killing Tarzan. And we see them get to the boat, and Clayton shows his true evil as he kidnaps Jane and Tarzan and threatens to kidnap all these gorillas because they sell for 300 sterling pounds, which I'm confident is a lot of money back then. In fact, looking it up with a cursory Google search tells me that 100 pounds of sterling silver would be the equivalent of $14,446.61 today. If you convert that to USD, it would be $128,180.20 per gorilla. And we're going to estimate that there's about like 25 gorillas there. That means Clayton is getting paid $3,204,505 estimate. Because I'm not that good at math. That's almost enough money to make me want to kidnap gorillas.
No, I'm Mr. Krabs, and I like money.
And as Clayton sails off to go kidnap some really expensive gorillas, Turk and Tantor come in to save Tarzan and the gang so they can go stop the evil capitalist colonial scum that is Clayton. And as they come in riding on elephants and attacking with baboons, and even the hippos show up, the extremely lazy, but extremely dangerous hippos all come in to save the gorillas. And finally, Tarzan and Kershak are like, we're cool. Because Kershak got shot in the chest by Clayton. And if you still have hate in your heart at that point, you deserve to just have hate. That hate does lead into the final confrontation between Tarzan and Clayton. And when you have the hatred in your heart that people like Clayton do, you end up being blinded by your own rage and hanging yourself by cutting vine after vine after vine. I just can't help but feel the excitement and feel so ecstatic that Clayton is literally hoisted by his own petard, like Great Britain dead at the end of the colonial era. This is the exact reason why colonialism failed at the end. People got too greedy. They wanted too much, and the cost was too extreme. Too much pain and suffering, and at the end of the day, it swallowed them whole and hung them out to dry. Remember, at the end of the day, just be a good person. That's all it takes. And we end the movie with Jane and her dad, Archimedes Q. Porter, because that's his name, going on a boat to a bigger boat with her dad just being like, you love him, you should stay with the apes. And she goes and stays with the apes, and he's like, you know what? I don't want to go back home alone. So he stays with the apes because he doesn't want to have to explain why his daughter went missing on this trip. And he wants to see his grand apes. So they live with the apes, and it's a happy ever after. And that's the end of Tarzan, everybody's favorite Disney movie. And with that, we're at the end of the review. If you like the video, you might as well hit the like button down below. If you want to see our future content, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. And if you really want to see our future content and the stuff that we're going to make here at Spiral Tree, go ahead and hit that little notification bell. And while you're down there, still leave a comment about how much you love Phil Collins, but only Phil Collins. If you talk about Tarzan, you're going to get a salty reply.
And with that, we will see you next time.